Hello everybody, today we're gonna be looking at the structure of the flower and its functions in a 3D model. As we have started this journey of showing all the organs of plants and animals in 3D, so we'll be teaching all the organs in 3D. Let's go straight to the structure and we start. So let's start labeling this flower. Number one is called petal. Let me do it like that. Petal. Yes. We say that it tries to attract the insects. It gives the ground for the insect so that it is able to fall on this flower and then do what it has come to do. Number two, it has this big part which we call the stigma. So this is called a stigma. So stigma is very important in receiving the pollen grains from the anthers, because these are the anthers. Yes. Number three, the stigma has a tube where these pollen grain pass when they are going to the ovules. This tube is called the style. Then it has what we call the ovary. This part, this tube is what we call the ovary. The ovary has the ovules. The ovules are the eggs which are being fertilized so that the fruit can start to develop. So it has what you call the anthers. Yes, these are what you call the anthers. If you look at it critically, yes, these are what you call the anthers. The anthers are very important in producing the pollen grains, which are responsible for fertilizing the ovules. Then the combination of the anther and the style, we call it the stamen, the male part of the flower. The anther and the style, we call it the stamen. And then a combination of the stigma, the style, and the ovary, yes, and the ovary, this ovary, this ovary, this style, and this stigma, we call it pistil. We call it pistil. Yes. So this is the flower. Then the flower has these other parts which are not that too much essential, but they also very important in the protection of this flower when still developing. And then we have what we call the sepal. Yes, this is the outer wall, yes, of the flower. So this is very important for the protection, yes, when still developing before it opens up. In most cases, it is green in color. Why is it green in color? Still remember that this is a plant. It can help in the process of photosynthesis. Then it has what called a receptacle. This is called the receptacle. As you hear the word receptacle, it receives, it holds the upper part of the flower. Then the receptacle is connected to what called the stalk, or sometimes we call it the pedicel. So pedicel is also another part of the flower. So the pedicel or the stalk is the one which connects the flower to the main part of the plant. It is having both male and female parts, because we say that this and this, we call it pistil. Sometimes we call it gynoecium. And then the combination of the male, that is the anther and the filament, it forms what we call the stamen. Scientifically, sometimes we call it androecium. So you should not be confused when we bring such a flower in exam. Remember, a flower is a male and a female reproductive structure of a plant, of which this flower might have only male, or might have female, or might have both, of which we call it either monoecious or dioecious. Monoecious means that the male and the female, they are on the same structure, while dioecious It means that the male and the female, they are on different reproductive structures, meaning that they are not found on the same structure. The flower consists of parts which are essential and those which are non-essential. The non-essential parts of the flower are those which dry up after the fertilization has taken place, and the essential part of the flower are those parts which remain when the fruit is developing. And also very important in the fertilization process. So let's go straight to this part which is colored. You see this part? Let me show you on the other side. These parts. These are the parts which we usually see. We call them petals. These are petals. These petals, they are very important in attracting the insects if it is an insect pollinated flower. And also they provide the surface for these insects to come and fall, so that they're able to collect what they try to collect, most especially nectar. So this flower, when you look at this view, you can see that the petals, this is how the insect will see the flower. So because these are big petals and they are trying to be brightly colored, yes, you can see that it is very important for the insect to be attracted. Or animals like you try to go and being attracted to that flower. This flower, it has specific features. If you look at it, it is a reason why this stigma is a little bit, look, let me do it like this, is a little bit higher than the filament and the anthers. The anthers, yes, they're a bit lower. It means that this is an insected pollinated flower. Why? Because if it is a wind pollinated flower, then when the wind blows, they won't be able to fall on the stigma. Therefore, for the case of wind pollinated flowers, these anthers must be a little bit up here than the insect pollinated flowers.